Let's see what's going on with President Trump. This was 22 hours ago. This was 1 in the morning when this happened. So yeah. We can fast forward it. Oh, there's no sound?
The day before the act,
Oh,
the
there
day
it
before
goes.
the statement of the IAEA. Statement of the IAEA, Mr. Grossi.
Yes.
You know what he said? He said there was Iran, the way it looked the day before the attack, and what their nuclear program looks like now. Two very different things. They are way behind where they were just 7 days ago. Now, anything in the world can be rebuilt, but now we know where it is. And if they try to rebuild it, we'll have options there as well. But all this leaker stuff, these leakers are professional stabbers. That's what they
All
are.
these
They go
leaker
out
stuff,
and they read this
stabbers,
stuff, and
you
then they
heard
tell
him.
you what it says against the law, but they characterize it for you in a way that's absolutely false. There's no way Iran comes to the table if somehow nothing had happened. This was complete and total obliteration. They're in bad shape. They are way behind today compared to where they were just 7 days ago
You
because
heard
of
it.
what the president did.
Marco, can I just
Leakers are
alert you to
bad
one other
news.
aspect? So the great thing is you took out
Bad
the
news
nuclear
there.
capability of Iran.
Don't
This
trust
was crucial.
leakers.
You did it in a way which is extremely impressive. But the signal sends to the rest of the world that this president, when it comes to it, yes, he is a man of peace, but if necessary, he is willing to use strength, the enormous strength of the American military. So I think that signal to the rest of the world, this is far beyond Iran, is extremely important. So let me also point us to that aspect of what happened.
Just to be
They
clear,
went
are you
down,
saying
Iran went
intelligence
down
is-
to the
is
site
wrong?
afterwards. They said it's so devastated, and they settled when they saw what we did to it. And frankly, if we didn't do that, they would have had a lot of ammunition to keep going. They wouldn't have settled. Somebody brought that up, and 2 Iranians went down to see it, and they called back, and they said, this place is gone. So it's just fake news by CNN, which has got no ratings. It's a failed network. Anybody here from CNN, by the way? Because you're really
Anyone
disgraceful
from
network.
CNN, Bob?
MSNBC, I think, is actually worse. But they're all pretty bad. But yours is good, Katie, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
You know what
Jesus,
Marco
Bob.
reminded me? He did such a nice job there. It was 9 years ago I had to debate this guy. He was not easy. I think he even got better. But when you were into your little thing, I said, this is what I had to debate this guy. You think it's easy to debate him? It's not easy.
How long do you think that the Iranian nuclear program has been put back by these strikes? Years or totally? So what? how
I
long
think
is it?
basically decades, because I don't think they'll ever do it again. I just don't think they're going to. I think they're going to take their oil. They're going to have some missiles, and they'll have some defense. I think they've had it. I mean, they just went through hell. I think they've had it. The last thing they want to do is enrich. They've been trying to do it. By the way, it's hard to
Basically,
enrich.
he's been telling them, don't
And
make
you know, when you
another
look at a
nuclear
site
program.
like that, very, very
Don't
hard
do
to
it.
build. Very, very hard. Very expensive. They spent trillions of dollars trying to do this thing, and they didn't come up with it. And we're actually getting along with them very well right now. But had we not succeeded with that hit,
Get
that hit
bunker
ended the
bustered
war.
again.
That hit ended the war. I don't want to use an example of
'Cause it's like where-
Hiroshima.
where-
I
where
don't want
they're
to
gonna
use an
have to-
example of Nagasaki.
They're gonna have to
But
put
that
new
was
bases and
essentially the
stuff.
same
Like,
thing.
place
That
is
ended
fucked
that
up.
war. This ended that was
They're
the
gonna
war.
have to rebuild
If we
everything.
didn't take that out, they would have been. They'd be
Also,
fighting right
if
now.
they want to hide
Mr.
it
President,
too
Yeah.
from prying
if
eyes,
the
they're gonna hide it.
Iranians do
They're gonna have to
rebuild
hide it
with
real
the
well
United
If they
States,
rebuild,
because
wouldn't
they
the
got
United
found
States
out.
strike again? And I've also a
sure.
question about
But I'm not going to have to worry about that. It's gone for years, years. Very tough to rebuild because the whole thing is collapsed. In other words, inside it's all collapsed. Nobody can get in to see it
Yeah,
because it's
so
collapsed.
inside
you can't go
was
in to
like,
see a
I don't
room
know.
that has 10 million tons of rock in it.
Yeah, it was like
And the tunnels
carved
are
out.
totally
and
collapsed.
then
Should they rebuild?
Well, they've already looked at the tunnels.
With
This
the
was
long,
an unbelievable
like, tunnel
hit
base-like
by
system.
genius pilots
Now
and
everything's
genius
caved
people in
in.
the military, and they're not being given credit for it because we have scum that's in this group, and not all of you are. You have some great reporters, but you have scum. CNN is scum. MSDNC is scum. The New York Times is scum. They're bad people. They're sick. And what they've done is they're trying to make this unbelievable victory into something less. Now, even they admit that it was hit very hard, okay? But it wasn't hit hard. It was hit brutally.
It
and it
wasn't
knocked it out.
just hit hard. It was
The original
brutal.
word that I use, I guess it got us in trouble because it's a strong
Complete
word. It was
annihilation.
obliteration. And you'll see that. And it's going to come out.
It's just complete
Israel
annihilation.
is doing a report on it now. I understand. And I was told that they said it was total obliteration. You know, they have guys that
Total
go in there
obliteration.
after the hit, and they say it was total obliteration. And you know, I don't want it for me. I want it for the pilots. I want it for the military. They did such a good job. If you were in the Situation Room with me,
Well, I mean,
with
obviously,
the generals and all
right,
of
the
the
pilots
people
will
that did
be
such
like,
a
yes,
good
we
job,
hit,
and then they get
target,
demeaned by these idiots
right,
at CNN who can't get
acquired,
ratings. The place is dying.
target
Nobody wants to
hit,
even
whatever.
waste their time going on their shows. So they form with the New York Times, who's
Also,
dying
apparently
also.
there was
Without
boots
Trump,
on the
you wouldn't have a
ground,
New
too.
York Times.
Secret
And then
ops.
just changing gears to your meeting with Zelensky later today, can you give us any preview of what the two of you might be discussing?
No, well,
Really
we'll discuss the
about
obvious. We'll discuss his difficulty. He's got a little difficulty. Zelensky.
Like, these guys
nice
have
guy.
been,
I mean, I'm
I hate
gonna
to
meet
tell
him
you,
today. I
but
don't know. I
the
assume we're gonna be
military is
discussing
kind
Ukraine.
of,
Yes.
I mean, it
they're
seems like
ahead of
close
the
like-
news
Any,
network.
any restart talks there or anything that you might do?
There's a
Well, we'll
reason
see.
why
I mean, I've
military
spoken to Putin
operations
a
aren't
lot,
fucking
and
talked
he
about.
actually was very nice. He volunteered help on, as you know, on
Because people
Iran.
would spill the beans.
I said, no, I don't need help on Iran. I need help on Russia.
And there'd be no really,
Okay, I said,
right,
do me a
there'd
favor.
be like
Help
no
us on
really
Russia, not
military
on
operation.
Iran, but he was very nice.
They'd be ready to fucking stop the
We're going to talk
opposition.
about that. We're going to talk. I think progress is being made. I think great progress is being made on Gaza. I think because of this attack that we made, I think we're going to have some very good news. I was talking to Steve Witkoff, who, by the way, is terrific, and who knows more about this subject than anybody, the subject of what we were just talking about. He was on last night with Jesse and with Laura and with Sean. And boy, Susie has a great take on it. He just explains it so easily. He's really very knowledgeable. But he did tell me that Gaza is very close.
Gaza is very
One follow-up
close.
on Iran. Both you and Secretary Rubio and Hexet mentioned the weekend. But can you clarify, is the intelligence correct or is the intelligence wrong?
Well, the intelligence was very inconclusive.
Okay.
The intelligence says we don't know. It could have been very severe. That's what the intelligence says.
I
So
mean,
I guess that's
I
correct.
mean, the only way
But
you can
I think
find
we can
out
take
is
that
if
we
you
don't know.
actually
It was
go,
very severe. It was
like, go check it
obliteration.
yourself. I don't think you want to go fucking
And you'd
do
think
that,
that
really.
a media outlet would say, isn't that a great thing? I mean, more importantly for the
you'd be
pilots,
going
for the
into
military, you
contested
take their
area.
guts out. You
Really,
take
do you
their
wanna-
absolute
do you
guts
wanna
out.
go
They had a
fight in a
tremendous
very
attack.
hostile
It was a
area?
complete
I don't
obliteration.
think so.
The other team,
Yeah, let's go.
the
Hey,
other
Iran,
group,
can you
Iran
tell
said-
us? Can you go take some
Let's stop
pictures
this.
for us in there?
And you know what?
What?
Israel said it too.
They're
Very
not gonna
smart.
fucking do that.
They fought like hell, and then they said, let's stop. And they're going to build themselves. And I really see it as sticking. I mean, we may do papers on it, Marco. Maybe we're going to do papers. I don't even know if you need them. They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it. They've had a big fight, like two kids at a schoolyard. You know, they fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes. Then it's easier to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language to
You have to
get
use
stuff.
strong language. Every once in a while, you have to use a certain word.
I think we have to join the others.
Yes, we're going to join some other group. Yes, thank you. Katie, one.
Just one last question. Do you believe
I only,
that
she's so good. That's the only
I
reason.
mean,
Thank you, Mr. President.
She used to be very difficult. Go ahead.
Do you believe that this strike on the Iranian nuclear program will lead to the release of the hostages in Gaza?
I think that it helped a little bit. It showed a lot of power. Yeah, I think it helped. But we're going to get separately, even before this, we were very close to making a deal on Gaza. I think this helped, yes. Okay, thank you, Katie.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you, press.
There
Thank
it
you,
is.
guys. Let's go. Come on, guys.
All right. Official greeting and some initial like questions that they ask, right? They want to know what's the juicy details, right? You just pulled off some crazy shit to stop a war in 12. Well, it's not really a war, a military operation in 12 days. If you want to call a war, the Ukraine-Russia is more of a war than whatever these operations, right? Even the Pakistan-India one wasn't even a war. Just some fucking, right, 2-day, 3-day conflict. What do we got here? And then we got the participating in the press conference.
Well, thank you very much. This has been an honor. It was a fairly long trip, but worth it. Tremendous things have been accomplished, as you probably noticed. Listened to a lot of wonderful speeches from the heads of a lot of wonderful countries. But I want to thank you for joining us at the conclusion of a highly productive NATO summit in the Netherlands. I want to thank them for the royal treatment they've given us. Couldn't have been nicer. And it's a beautiful country, really a beautiful country.
So he
Coming
was
in,
at-
I saw the most
he was-
beautiful
this
trees.
was
In
during
fact, I want to
NATO
bring
the
some
whole
back
time.
with me.
He was at NATO the whole day.
I want to also
Or
thank,
with
I
NATO the whole
had,
day.
I had breakfast this morning with the King and Queen, and they're incredible people. I said, you're central casting, beautiful people, great people, big, beautiful heart. And I enjoyed that. And also, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, who's been terrific. He's been a friend of mine, used to be right here running this wonderful country. Now he's the NATO Secretary General. He's doing a fantastic job. And the Prime Minister, we appreciate everything you've done. And as you know, last weekend, the United States successfully carried out a massive precision strike on Iran's nuclear enrichment facilities, and it was very, very successful. It was called
It was a
obliteration.
declaration of
No
war.
other military on earth could have done it, and now this
Democrats are
incredible
crying.
exercise of American strength has paved the way for peace with a historic ceasefire agreement
Impeach
late
Trump,
Monday,
impeach
and we call it the 12-day war. Spoke to a few people. I guess that just sounded like
Stop
the
the
right,
orange man.
the
He's
right
going
name.
crazy.
It was a 12-day war. And we think it's over. I don't think they're going to be going back at each other. I don't think so. Not only have we dealt decisively with the critical threat of Iran's nuclear program, which was what I wanted. I said, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I've said that for 15 years, long before I decided to do the political thing. But we've also reasserted the credibility of American deterrence, which is like no other. The people at NATO said there's never been anything. You know, I rebuilt the entire military during my first term. And we have a great military. We have great generals. I got to know the good ones and the bad ones. We kept the good ones. Over the past 2 days, I was honored to participate in the NATO leaders meeting and also had extremely good individual discussions with the King and the Queen, Secretary General Rutte, and the Prime Minister. Great discussions.
We
Very
fired the bad
knowledgeable people.
ones.
Major focus of
Sure,
our
those bad
conversations
ones.
at
They
the
were so
summit
bad.
was the need for other NATO members to take up the burden of the defense of Europe, and that included the financial burden. As you know, it was 2%, and we got it up to 5%. And they said, a couple of them came up to me, one in particular said, sir, we've been trying to get it up to 3% for 20 years, and we haven't been able, and you got it up to 5%. So they're going to be, most of them, I guess almost all of them, are going to be contributing now, 5%, a number that people are surprised at, but you need it today. The United States accounts for 2/3 of all NATO defense spending, and since I began pushing for additional commitments in 2017, believe it or not, our allies have increased spending by $700 billion. I said to people, you don't have any money, and a lot of them weren't paying. And so I started the process, and I picked it up as soon as I got back, which is 6 months ago. And following my election last November, almost all have accelerated plans to reach the 2%, 3%, 4%, and then ultimately, very quickly, 5%. And all of this is going to be done very quickly, almost immediately. You probably know this as well as I do. I'm sure they've been talking about it. It's really been a big focus. In a very historic milestone this week, the NATO allies committed to dramatically increase their defense spending to that 5% of GDP. something
more
that no one
defense
really thought
spending.
possible.
Uh-oh.
And they said, you did
Honestly,
it, sir,
we
you
should
did it.
probably
Well, I don't know
clean
if I
up
did
the
it, but I think
defense
I did.
spending first before you start.
This will be
right,
known
sending
as
out
the
more money,
Hague
yes.
Defense Commitment, which is pretty good, pretty appropriate.
Then
When the
again,
Allies reach
honestly,
this number,
the
it will
reason
add
why
more than
they
$1
don't
trillion
tell you a lot
a
about
year.
the defense
Think of that
spending
$1
is
trillion per
because of
year
secret research
to our
and
common
stuff like
defense,
that.
and this is
That's
a
all.
monument really to victory, but it's a monumental win for the United States because
I mean,
we
why
were
do you got,
carrying
like,
much
Area
more than our
51
fair
and shit
share.
like that,
It was
right?
quite unfair, actually. But this is a big
You
win
have
for Europe and
secret,
for
secret
actually
bases
Western
where,
civilization.
it's hush hush.
For years, past administrations failed to get most allies to contribute even the 2%. I remember when I came here, we had 4 countries that were up to 2%, and I remember Poland was there. A couple of them were there, and but most of them were. We had 28 at the time, as you know. It's increased a little bit, and they've agreed now to more than double their budgets in all cases. And Europe stepping up to take more responsibility for its security will help prevent future disasters like the horrible
so Europe is
situation with
finally
Russia
spending
and
more money
Ukraine,
in
and hopefully we're
defenses,
going to get that solved.
even though
Last
they
week there
should-
were
they should have been
7,000
doing that from the
soldiers,
very beginning
mostly
because
soldiers,
they're right there
but they're
with
also
fucking
getting hit in
Ukraine.
Kiev.
They're
They're getting
literally
hit in
right
some of the
next door.
towns also. And that means life. Life is disappearing also in the cities and towns. Should have never happened, would have never happened if I was president. I said it 1,000 times, and it never did happen. It's never even thought about. But it's vital that this additional money be spent on very serious military hardware, not bureaucracy, and hopefully that hardware is going to be made in America because we have the best hardware in the world. You saw that where 14 missiles were shot at us the other day. And they were very nice. They gave us warning. They said, we're going to shoot
We
them.
got the
Is 1
bunker
o'clock
busters.
okay?
Oh yeah,
said it's
America
fine.
made.
And everybody
get
was
those
emptied off the
anywhere
base,
else.
so they couldn't get hurt except for the gunners. They call them the gunners. And
Oh
out
yes,
of
our
14
very own B-2
high-end missiles
bombers.
that were shot at the base in
The
Qatar,
B-2 Spirit.
all 14, as you know, were
America
shot
made.
down by our equipment. Amazing stuff. Amazing that they can do. It's like shooting a bullet with a bullet. It's the same thing if you think about it. 14 out of 14, and they weren't even that surprised. I said, do you do that well often? They say, we pretty much do, sir. The Ukraine crisis has also
Well,
highlighted
three-
the urgency of
clean
rebuilding
shots.
our defense industrial base, both in the United
So
States
basically,
and
there was 3.
among the allied nations. We cannot afford to
there was what?
be
7
dependent
planes,
on foreign
right?
adversaries
So they
for
were
critical
doing like
minerals.
a
And as you know, we made a deal
coordination
with Ukraine to
formation,
take
right? They did a
vast
formation
amount of
where
the
it was just
land they
clean
have for
bombings.
minerals we needed.
One
And once
goes
again, I
in,
want to thank
and then
all of
other
the
one
people in the
follows through.
Netherlands, incredible people. It's a great place. And all of the NATO allies for the tremendous summit that we just had. A letter just came in, and a statement came in from the Atomic Energy
I mean, you could see
Commission
where
of
the-
Israel. And I just wondered, this is an
They just
official
put the-
letter, and they're very serious
they
people,
split
as
it
you
into
know.
2 squads
The
because there was
devastating
2
U.S. strike
two
on
sites they
Fordo
had to hit.
destroyed the site's critical infrastructure and rendered the enrichment facility totally inoperable. It was devastated. We assessed that the American strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities has set back Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons for many years to come. This achievement can continue indefinitely if Iran does not get access to nuclear material, which it won't. It's so sad that that whole thing had to go. But I just want to thank our pilots. You know, they were maligned and treated very bad, demeaned by fake news CNN, which is back there, believe it or not, wasting time, nobody's watching them, so they're just wasting a lot of time, wasting my time. And the New York Times, they put out a
Wasting my
story
time, wasting their
that, well,
time.
maybe they were hit, but it wasn't bad. Well, it was so bad that they ended the war. It ended the war. Somebody said in a certain way, you know, that it was so devastating, actually. If you look at Hiroshima, if you look at Nagasaki, you know, that ended a war too. This ended a war in a different way, but it was so devastating. Also, they have, out of
it is.
Dubai,
He
just
likened
came
it
that
to
Iran's
the,
foreign
to
ministry
dropping the
spokesman, this is
bomb.
Iran's foreign
Dropping
ministry,
the head.
says it's near, its nuclear installations were
Uh-oh,
very
he said
badly damaged by
nuclear. Uh-oh.
the American strike. So what bothered me about these reports with fake reports put out by the New York Times, failing, I call it the failing New York Times because it's doing terribly. Without me, it would be doing no business at all. But, and by fake news, CNN and MSDNC, all of these terrible people, you know, they have no credibility. You know, when I started, they were at 94% credibility, the media. Now it's at 16%.
No,
And I'm very proud of it because I've exposed it for what it is. But when I saw them starting to question the caliber of the attack, was it bad? Well, it was really bad. It was devastating. They were obliterated. In fact, you can't get into the tunnels. They just put that over. That just came out. They can't, there's nothing, there's no way you can even get down. The whole thing is collapsed in a disaster. And I think all of the nuclear stuff is down there because it's very hard to remove. And we did it very quickly when they heard we were coming.
Yeah,
It was, you know, you
I
can't
don't
move
know
it.
how-
Very hard, very dangerous actually to move to.
Yeah, it's going to take some time.
And they
to
also knew
actually,
we were
like,
coming, so I don't think
excavate
too
and
many
get all
people want
that
to be
shit
down there
in
knowing we're
check.
coming.
'Cause you'd have
With
to
the
dig
bunker
down
busters,
all
as we
through
call
all
them.
that
We're the only
fucking
ones that
fucked
have
up
them. We
shit
have the
they
best
bombed.
equipment, best nuclear equipment, and we have the best equipment in the world. And by the way, we can't forget our submarine, which was out there, submarines actually, but submarine was out there. We shot
Oh, they even
30 rockets into
oh, they had submarines there
an
too?
area,
Oh, shit, I had
every
no
single
idea.
one of them. I think it was
No, they had the
almost
submarines that shoot
400
the,
miles away, I think,
the,
Pete,
the
right?
missile. right?
400?
I'm guessing the
and long. It was in the ocean,
the guided
long ways
rocket
away.
Missiles.
And we shot a
So
total
they
of
didn't
30.
just had the battle
Every single
cruisers,
one of them
right,
hit within
the
9
battle
inches
cruisers
from
out
where
there,
it
they
was
also
supposed
had
to be. It took
fucking-
out a lot. Because we didn't do just
They
Fordo,
also
we
had
did
fucking
2 others in
submarines,
addition,
man.
which hadn't been completely destroyed. So we hit them with a submarine from hundreds of miles away. Amazing, just amazing equipment. Greatest submarines in the world. Nobody's even close. They're 20 years behind us when it comes to submarine technology. So that's one, and the other was from the Atomic Energy Commission. And they have about 3 or 4 of them now coming in from atomic energy commissions from various places. But the one that we have that just came out, we released it a little while ago, was from the Israeli Atomic Energy Commission. But numerous of them are getting to see the site, and the site has been demolished. And again, we had these brave patriots, these incredible flyers, these people that
So
can
apparently
fly
they're
a plane
getting
better than anybody can fly a
right.
plane,
They're,
going
get-
into
they're
very
getting
hostile
people
territory,
from
flying into
these right,
the territory
what
that
was it,
has
the
got more missiles and things
IAEA,
pointed at it.
I guess.
But
right,
it
the
was very
atomic
stealth.
energy
They didn't
people.
get to see it. It was dark.
And they're
That's the
saying
amazing
it's-
thing
there's
about
not-
the
it's
shots. They
fucked
hit the
up.
shots perfectly, and yet it was dead dark. There was no moon. There was no light.
They can't really
was
get.
virtually,
they can't really check anything. 'cause
moonless.
Everything's fucked
It was
up.
very dark, and the shots were
So-
hit perfectly. But when they get demeaned, and they were very upset about it because they knew how strong it would be. Back in Missouri, the pilots flew about 36 hours, 2 ways, far distance, and in those incredible B-2s. And we then had the F-22s, and we had the F-35s, and we had other planes, and we had, I think, a total of 52 tankers. That means the big tankers, because the refueling was a lot for all of the different planes that we sent. Incredible operation, and I have to say, General Raisin Kane was incredible. That's why he beat ISIS, and we beat ISIS in a matter of weeks.
God,
I was told it would take
General
4 to 5
Raisin
years.
Kane.
We did it in a few weeks, and he was great. That's why he's the
This
head
is actual fucking
of the Joint
name.
Chiefs of Staff
That's
right now,
crazy.
because I had a very good experience with him. He knocked out ISIS in a period of literally a few weeks. Amazing. And it was supposed to take a few years, 5 years to be exact. So we had a great victory there, and we then came here, and I think we had a great victory here. But this is an ongoing project. This is the safety of Europe, the safety of the world. And they've raised it from 2% to 5%, something which nobody, and you're talking about over $1 trillion a year. So we're talking about a lot of money coming in from countries that were not paying nearly enough to be effective. So I have, as you know, Marco Rubio
Yeah.
with me, and Pete Hegseth,
Some of those
Secretary
countries can only, what,
of State and
fund a
Secretary
bomb or
of
two,
War.
and that's
Should we
it.
say Secretary? You know, it used to be called Secretary of War. Maybe for a couple
yeah,
of weeks we'll
no.
call it that, because we feel like warriors. Used to be called Secretary of War. In fact, if you look at the old building next to the White House, you can see where it used to be Secretary of War. Then we became
A
politically
lot of
correct.
these countries, they
and
can't
they called
even,
it
they don't even
Secretary of
have
Defense. I
enough
don't know,
money
maybe
to
we'll have to
build
start thinking about
right, a
changing
lot
it.
of armaments for themselves.
But we feel
but
that way. Do we have any questions, please? Wow. That's a lot of questions. Who's a nice person? Oh, you're not a nice person, but I'll let you ask one. Go ahead. What's he going to ask? He is not nice at all. I know him well.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time before flying home. You just said you believe the conflict between Israel and Iran is over. What makes you so confident it is? And what do you do if it isn't?
Because I dealt with both, and they're both tired, exhausted. They fought very, very hard and very viciously, very violently, and they were both satisfied to go home and
Well,
get
I
out.
mean,
And
but
can
Trump-
it start
but
again? I
Trump,
guess
the
someday it
ceasefire
can.
was
It could
broken
maybe
in,
start
like, the
soon.
first, like, 10
I think a big
minutes.
telltale sign was when, as
they
you
were
know,
still launching
Iran
their
somewhat,
last
by
operation
not much,
within that
violated the
hour.
ceasefire, and Israel had the planes going out
Oh,
that
wow.
morning, and there were a lot of them, 52 of them. And I said, you got to get them back. And they brought them back. They didn't do anything. They brought them back. It was very good. I thought it was amazing, actually. They have fought a hell of a war. They fought very hard. I think the war ended, actually, when we hit the various nuclear sites with the planes. And I just hope you people can give these pilots, these are the best pilots in the world. They're the best shots in the world. They call them shots. That's what they are. And wait a minute. And I just hope you can give them the respect they deserve, because they came home to fake news. And like, oh, gee, there was hardly any damage. The things are decimated. So, but I think, no, I think they're very much finished. I think Israel's going to get back to doing what they do, and I think that Iran's going to get back. You know, Iran has a huge advantage. They have great oil, and they can do things. I don't see them getting back involved in the nuclear business anymore. I think they've had it. They've been at it for 20 years, and I don't see that happening either. Now, if it does, we're always there. It won't be me, it'll be somebody else, but we're there. We'll have to do something about it. Yes, please, go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, fake news CNN? Oh, yeah, here we go. Wait till you hear this question.
Oh, here we go.
You should really say how
Here
great
we go.
our soldiers and our warriors are.
I think everyone appreciates our soldiers and our warriors. I do have two questions for you, Mr. President. You just cited Israeli intelligence on these attacks. Earlier, you said U.S. intelligence was inconclusive. Are you relying on Israeli intelligence for your assessment of
No,
the impact of the
no.
strikes?
No, this is also
Are you
Iran made the
relying
statement,
on
and it's
how
also, if you read the
inconsiderate
document that
the
was given,
Israelis have
that
been
Pete can
to
talk
us
about if
and
you'd
their
like.
lobbying?
The document said
Yes, we
it
get
could
it.
be very severe damage, but they didn't take that. They said it could be limited or it could be very severe. They really didn't know, other than to say it could be limited or it could be very, very severe. And you didn't choose to put that because it was very early after. Since then, we've collected additional intelligence. We've also spoken to people who have seen the site, and the site is obliterated. And we think everything nuclear is down there. They didn't take it out. Okay, question? Please, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, blue dress.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Yesterday, you said China can now continue to purchase oil from Iran.
Yeah.
Are you giving up on your maximum pressure campaign? Because
With
there's
who?
sanctions right now
With who?
on Iran.
No, look, they just had a war. The war was fought. They fought it bravely. I'm not giving up. They're in the oil business. I mean, I could stop it if I wanted. I could sell China the oil myself. I don't want to do that. They're going to need money to put that country back into shape. We want to see that happen. Would it? No, if they're going to sell oil, they're going to sell oil. We're not taking over the oil.
Oh,
We could have.
because,
I used to say with Iraq, keep
because
the oil. I could say it
Iran
here
went
too.
to-
We could have
went
kept
to
the oil.
Russia, then China.
No, China is going to want to buy
Right,
oil.
because I
They
guess
can buy
you-
it from
I
us.
guess
They
they
can
were
buy it from
trying
other
to
people.
look for-
But you're going to have to
trying to
put
do
that
some,
country
like,
back
trade
into
deals or
shape.
something?
It needs,
Look for some
desperately
help.
needs money. Yeah,
Because of what happened.
yeah, please. Here we go. I'm picking the beauties today. Go ahead.
Mr. President, Secretary General Rutte has described President Putin as an adversary, a threat, an enemy. Do you view him the same way? And in addition to that, you mentioned General Kane, your chief of staff, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
General Kane.
Yes, he has said that Mr. Putin has territorial ambitions beyond Ukraine.
Well, I mean,
do you
in a
view that
sense,
in the
that's
same way?
possible. Is that
Possible.
not why he went
it's
into
possible.
Ru-
I know one
Ukraine?
thing, he'd like to settle. He'd like to get out of this thing. It's a mess for him. He called the other day. He said, can I help you with Iran? I said, no, you can help me with Russia. Because, in the last few weeks, we took care of India and Pakistan, Kosovo, Serbia. I think on Friday we have coming in, the Congo is coming in, and Rwanda is coming in. That was a vicious war that went on, a machete war.
Shit, we're helping that
Heads
one
chopped
too. I
off
forgot
all
about
over
that, yeah.
Africa.
Apparently,
They're coming
I
in.
think we're helping the
We did,
Congo Rwanda one a little bit
two
there.
others in addition to that. Nobody's ever
Because
done
we
anything
already
like
took
this.
in some refugees from
No, I
right
consider
that
him
area.
a person
Or
that's,
the South Africa area.
I think, been misguided. I'm very surprised, actually. I thought we would have had that settled easy. I've settled four of them in the meantime. But he did call up and he said,
we have our hands
he's
in a
close
lot
to
of
Iran.
shit.
He'd like to help us get a settlement. I said, no, you help me get a settlement with you, with Russia. And I think we're going to be doing that too. Yeah, please. Go ahead, please.
Whoa, Jesus.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've made clear your position on what impact the strikes had. I wanted to ask you what is next with Iran. For instance, is there any indication from U.S. intelligence that Iran was able to move any material?
No, just the
uranium?
opposite. We think we hit them so hard and so fast they didn't get to move. And if you knew about that material, it's very hard and very dangerous to move. It's called, in many people, they call it dust, but it's very, very heavy. It's very, very hard to move. And they were way down, they're 30 stories down. They're literally 30, 35 stories down underground.
You think you got it all?
Oh, yeah, we think we got, we think it's covered with granite, concrete, and steel.
Can I ask you, are you interested in restarting negotiations with Iran? And if so, have they
So our people, Marco could answer this, but our people are not, I'm not. The way I look at it, they fought, the war's done, and, I could get a statement that they're not going to go nuclear. We're probably going to ask for that, but they're not going to be doing it. But they're not going to be doing it anyway. They've had it. They've had it. Now, maybe someday in the future we'll want that. But I've asked Marco, do you want to draw, I just asked him the question as we were walking on the stage, do you want to draw up a little agreement for them to sign? Because I think we can get them to sign it. I don't think it's necessary. Marco, do you want to talk about that, please?
Well, Mr. President, I think President Trump has shown a willingness to meet and talk to anybody in the world who's interested in peace. I don't know of any president that's been as willing as he has to meet with anyone and talk about peace. We'd love to have peaceful relations with any country in the world. And so obviously that'll depend on Iran's willingness not just to engage in peace, but to negotiate directly with the United States, not through some third country or fourth country process.
I think
But
Iran has been trying to
I know of no
use
president,
other countries
probably in our modern
to,
history, that's
trying to hide
sought
behind
peace
Russia
more
and
than
China
President Trump
to,
has.
Sounds like the door is open, but you're in no rush. Is that right? Sounds like the door is open, but
I'll tell you what, look, we're going to talk to them next week with Iran. We may sign an agreement, I don't know. To me, I don't think it's that necessary. I mean, they had a war, they fought, now they're going back to their world. I don't care if I have an agreement or not. The only thing we'd be asking for is what we were asking for before about we want no
Yeah, it would
nuclear, but
probably still be the
we
same,
destroyed
right?
the nuclear.
No fucking nuclear.
In other words,
weapons.
it's destroyed. I said, Iran will not have nuclear. Well, we blew it up. It's blown up to kingdom come. And so I don't feel very strongly about it. If we got a document, it wouldn't be bad. We're going to meet with them, actually. We're going to meet with them. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Mr. President, Netherlands TV, thank you for visiting our country.
Good.
As I
Thank you.
understood, I, of course, would like to know how you slept last night at the House of the King.
Oh, I slept beautifully.
But probably a more serious question. I think you just had a
get it.
meeting with President Zelensky. Did you discuss any ceasefire in this Russo-Ukrainian?
No, I wanted to know how he's doing. He was very nice, actually. You know, we had
And
a
this
little
is why
rough
I bought a
times.
BB gun,
sometimes.
so I could shoot at
He was,
flies.
couldn't have been nicer. I think I'd like to see an end to this. I do. I think what I
don't
took
know
from
where
the
it went.
meeting couldn't have been
I
nicer,
think I hit
actually.
it,
But
so.
I took from the meeting that he'd like to see it end. I think it's a great time to end it. I'm going to speak to Vladimir Putin, see if we can get it ended. But look, these are brave people. They're fighting these wars all over the place. You know, last week they had, I guess, I told you, close to 7,000 young soldiers, Russian and Ukrainian soldiers were killed, 7,000 in 1 week. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I'll be speaking to Putin. No, I had a good meeting with Zelensky, and I had a lot of good meetings. We had a lot of good meetings with a lot of people, a lot of great leaders. But he's fighting a brave battle. It's a tough battle. Yeah. Go ahead, white dress.
Thank you. Ida Hallikainen from Finland, Ilta-Sanomat.
Good.
You have played golf with President Alexander Stubb. How do you see Finland as a NATO ally and partner, and how would you describe your relationship with our president?
Well, he's a very good golfer, okay? In fact, he was on his college golf team. He went to a good college in the South, as you know, a very good college, and he was a good golfer. We had a good time. I think my relationship's great. I want to buy icebreakers. You know, you're very good at icebreakers. And I actually made him an offer. I didn't go to Congress. They'll try and impeach me for this. But there's an old, it's not old, it's fairly new, but it's used icebreaker. And I offered him about 1/3 of what he asked for. But we're negotiating. We need icebreakers in the U.S. And if we can get some inexpensively, I'd like to do that. Actually, they'll fix it up, make it good. Also, we may buy some icebreakers. You know, you're the king of icebreakers, that particular country. They make them good. They make them really good, and they know what they're doing. And so we're negotiating with them for about 15 different icebreakers. But one of them is available now. It's old, and it's old. It's like 5-6 years old. And we're trying to buy it. I'm trying to make a good deal. It's all I do my whole life. My whole life, that's all I do is make deals. Yeah, please. Go ahead. Sir, go ahead.
Yeah, a question for NewsHour, Dutch TV. First of all, on Article 5, on your way here, you spoke about the commitment of the U.S. to Article 5, saying, I'll give you my definition once we're here. Yeah. What is your definition, and may the U.S. commitment to Article 5 change in case some of the NATO members do not reach the threshold that was discussed today? My second question is following up on the colleague on Iran. What intel reports do say that everything over there was obliterated?
Yeah, well, there are numerous of those reports, and they're coming out fast and furious. But the most respected ones we've already seen. And I will say that on a very confidential basis, they're looking at the reports, like numerous reports, and including people going to the site and checking the site. And they're going to be having, I guess you're going to be having over the next couple of days a full, you're going to encapsulate it. But no, the site was obliterated, just like I said it was. And just like the pilots should be given credit for.
It just happened.
As far as Article 5,
look,
when I came here...
I mean, you're probably going to get information for a while.
I came here because it was something I'm supposed to be doing, but I left here a little bit different.
That means
differently. I said, I watched the heads of these countries get up, and the love and the passion that they showed for their country was unbelievable. I've never seen quite anything like it. They want to protect their country, and they need the United States. And without the United States, it's not going to be the same. And you can ask Mark, or you can ask any of the people that were there. It was really moving to see it. They love their country. They were so respectful of me because I'm the head of the United States. And I made, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, when I was in the Middle East, so I was in Qatar for a different reason, not a reason to get shot at. We were in there for economic development reasons, Qatar, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. All three leaders of those countries, and we took back $5.1 trillion into the United States. All three leaders said, you're presiding over the hottest country in the world. The United States right now is the hottest country. Everybody wants to be there. Everybody wants a piece of it.
Oh,
He said
yeah.
a year ago
We
your
even
country
got
was
people who
dead.
come into our country
You had a
and start
deadhead
riots
running
and
it. You had a
protests
country that was
to
dead, and
then
it was
say,
dead.
"Oh,
You had
fuck
people pouring
America."
through the borders. You had inflation. You had everything. He said, you've made it in 5 months at that time.
As they
You've made it
reap
the
the
hottest country.
benefits
This is the
of
hottest
being
country in the world. The United
country.
States right now is the
And then
hottest
they
country
start
in the
being
world.
fucking
And when I was
assholes about
around
it.
that table, it was a nice group of people, many of whom I knew from previous. When I saw the passion they had for the country, almost everyone, and you probably have the tapes, it was very public, but almost every one of them said, thank God for the United States. Without the United States, they couldn't really have NATO. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. It will in the future because now they're paying much more money, but it wouldn't work. It was great. And I left here differently. I left here saying that these people really love their countries. It's not a ripoff, and we're here to help them protect their country. Okay, we'll do one or two more.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
A question on Spain. Are you satisfied with today?
Oh, I think Spain's terrible what they've done. No, I do. They're the only country that won't pay the full up. They want to stay at 2%. I think it's terrible. And you know, they're doing very well. The economy is very well. And that economy could be blown right out of the water with something bad happening. You know, Spain is the only country that, are you from Spain? Yeah. Good, congratulations.
Where
you're the only country that is
should have
not paying. I don't know what the problem is. I think it's too bad. So we'll make it up. You know what we're going to do? We're negotiating with Spain on a trade deal. We're going to make them pay twice as much. And I'm actually serious about that. We're going to make Spain. I like Spain. I have so many people from Spain. It's a great place and they're great people. But Spain is the only country out of all of the countries that refuses to pay.
Yeah, you know that Spanish Inquisition
so
shit?
they want a
Yeah,
little
that
bit
was
of a
some
free
fucked up
ride.
shit.
But they'll have to pay it back to us on trade because I'm not going to let that happen. It's unfair. It's unfair to NATO. All right, sir, please. Go ahead, right in the back. Yeah, you tall one. The tall man.
Right here, Mr. President, please.
Mr. President, Johannes Petra from Austrian National Television.
How are you?
You once said that you would end the Ukraine war in 24 hours. You later said you said that sarcastically.
Of course it was sarcastic.
But you've now been in office for 5 months and 5 days. Why have you not been able to end the Ukraine war?
Because it's more difficult than people would have any idea. Vladimir Putin has been more difficult. Frankly, I had some problems with Zelensky. You may have read about him. And it's been more difficult than other wars. I mean, look, we just ended a war in 12 days that was simmering for 30 years, frankly. We ended Rwanda and the Congo. It's coming to sign the documents. We've already signed basic documents, but they're coming, I think, to the White House on Friday.
Oh, wait, it's a new one.
We ended, Serbia was going to go at it. But maybe the most important of all,
it was a different fly.
India
There was
and
two
Pakistan.
flies in here. What the fuck?
And that wasn't whether or not they may someday have nukes like we're talking about in the Middle East, like we're talking about with Israel and Iran. This is they have nuclear weapons. I ended that with a series of phone calls on trade. I said, look, if you're going to go fighting each other, it was getting very bad. You know how bad that last attack was. It was really bad. If you're going to go fighting each other, we're not doing any trade deal. No, you have to do a trade deal. I said, we're not doing any trade deal. And in fact, I had the general, who was very impressive. The general from Pakistan was in my office last week. You know, Prime Minister Modi is a great friend of mine. He's a great gentleman. He's a great man. And I got them to reason. I said, we're not doing a trade deal if you're going to fight. And if you're going to fight each other, we're not doing a trade deal. And you know what? They said, no, I want to do the trade deal. We stopped the nuclear war. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff. Here's another beauty, Jeff. He is a beauty, all right. Go ahead.
Mr. President, to follow up on Ukraine, will the United States contribute any more money to Ukraine's defense this year to the $5 billion that allies are giving? And one question, you had another meeting with the Dutch opposition leader, Mr. Wilders. Can you tell us about that meeting? And are you upset about his anti-Muslim stance?
I'm not upset about it. It's just his view. He's unhappy with the way things are going in this country and various countries. He was an opposition leader, and I was asked to meet with the opposition leader by the people that are running. I think they have some deal where if you have a meeting, you're supposed to meet with an opposition leader. I said, that's strange. We don't do that. But I met with I didn't know him. He seemed like a very nice guy, but he's in opposition to the current people, and that was set up by the current people. So I assume when I met with the Prime Minister, you're supposed to meet with the opposition. We'll have to try that sometime in our country. Let's not do it. But I thought he was very good. As far as money going, we'll see what happens.
I'm pretty
There's a
sure
lot
the
of spirit.
opposition
Look,
don't even want to
Vladimir
fucking talk
Putin
to
really
you,
has to end that war.
I mean, you've
People
seen
are
how
dying
they
at
are
levels that people
in
haven't
your
seen before for a long time. Go ahead.
Half of them didn't want to fucking even
ahead.
acknowledge you.
White shirt. Oh, she's all excited.
So, BBC News Ukrainian. I would
Where are
like
you
to ask
from?
you- I'm from Ukraine.
Oh,
So my
wow.
question to you is whether or not the US is ready to sell anti-air missile systems Patriot to Ukraine. We know that Russia has been pounding Ukraine really heavily.
Yeah, so Ukraine has been asking for basically us to sell them, right, the Patriot system, basically an Iron Dome system. That's what they want.
Right now.
Are you living yourself now in Ukraine?
My husband is there.
Wow.
And
I can see you it's amazing.
And me with the kids, I'm in Warsaw actually.
Yeah,
because he
so
wanted
basically,
me to-
Is your
ever
husband a
since the
soldier now?
war began, I
He's there
believe they've
now?
been
Yeah.
trying
Wow,
to
that's
get some
rough stuff,
sort
right?
of deal.
That's tough. And
But
you're
I don't
living
think
here?
I don't
In
think
Moscow.
U.S.
And you're a
is in
reporter.
the-
I
has
am.
been trying to sell.
So let me just tell you,
stuff
they
like
do
that.
want to have the anti-missile missiles, okay, as they call them.
Correct.
The Patriots. And we're going to see if we can make some available, They're very hard to get. We need them too. We were supplying them to Israel.
Yeah,
They're very effective, 100% effective. Hard to believe how effective.
yeah,
And
Israel
they do
was
want that
buying
more
them.
than any other thing, as you
But,
probably
yeah,
know. That's a very
Zelen-
good
I
question.
don't even know if
And I
Zelensky
wish you a lot of luck. I mean, I can see it's very upsetting to you. So say hello to your husband, okay? Thank you. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. You were criticizing
Where are you from?
Bloomberg News.
Oh, Bloomberg. That's
you were
wonderful.
you were criticizing the Federal Reserve Chair before coming to this summit.
Yeah, I think he's terrible.
I was wondering if you've begun interviewing different candidates for the Fed pick.
Yeah, I know within 3 or 4 people who are going to pick. I mean, he goes out pretty soon, fortunately, because I think he's terrible. We have no inflation. We have a tremendous economy. Hundreds of billions of dollars of tariff money is pouring in. Factories are being built because they don't want to pay the tariffs, so they're building them all over the country. I think we're close to $15 trillion. I told you 5.1 trillion from the Middle East alone, but of investment money coming in. There's never been anything like that in the history of our country. But we have no inflation. And we have borrowing because Biden, stupidly, they did short-term debt. So we have borrowing coming up. And, we'll go 10 years, maybe longer, maybe shorter, but we'll go a long period of time when we do the debt. And because of him, because of this guy, we will have to pay for years. We'll be paying for him. And I said to him, listen, there's no inflation. He says, but maybe there'll be
I
some.
think Trump
That's
wanted
true.
to
I said,
make
if there
more,
is some, what you do is
make
raise
a
the rate.
more
I'm okay
advanced
with that.
system in the
You raise the
US
rate in 2 years from now
too,
or a
so
year
I
from
don't
now.
know. And now
But because the
Ukraine
rate's
want- or
high, we
they're
have to
trying
pay
ask
more for
it
debt.
in Ukraine.
It's pretty equal. In other words, if it's 4%, it's 4%. If you drop it a point, you'll pay 3%. So it's fairly equal, not necessarily, but fairly equal. So we're going to end up paying maybe 2 points or 3 points more. 3 points would be about $900 billion a year because of this very average mentally person. He's an average mentally person. I'd say low in terms of what he does, low. Low IQ for what he does, okay? Right, so instead of paying $900 billion, we don't want to pay 900 just because he doesn't want to lower the rate. I said, if there's inflation in 2 years or 3 years or 1 year from now, you raise the rate, you take care of the inflation, among other things. But probably a very political guy, I guess. I don't know. I think he's a very stupid person, actually. All right, one more. Let's go. How about you? Go ahead. She looks so happy and everything.
Thank you.
That's why I
I'm
picked
from
her.
Spain too. I'm Ana Bu from La Vanguardia. I wanted to know if
You're where from?
Spain too.
Ah.
I wanted to know if you want to.
That's the Spain corner right there. Shouldn't have said that. That's okay. I do like Spain, by the way. I think it's unfair that they're not paying, but go ahead.
Are you going to negotiate directly with Spain about?
I'm going to negotiate directly with Spain. I'm going to do it myself. They're going to pay. They'll pay more money this way. You should tell them to go back and pay. You're a reporter? You tell them to go back. They ought to join all of those countries that are paying 5%. Spain's going to be just about the only one that's not. They were the most hostile toward doing it. It just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, all right, Kelly, go ahead.
I mean, it seems
Here we
like
go.
Spain has tried to stay out
Here's
of
another
everything,
one.
right?
Hello, sir. Thank you
We
very
got them all today.
Okay. So, Mr. President, you talked about expecting some on-the-ground assessments at Fordo and other
Yeah.
sites.
Now here-
Is that
here again.
Israeli and U.S.?
It's been obliterated, Kelly. It's
What is your message
obliterated.
then, sir, to the intelligence community when they present reports? You're not disputing the DIA report. You're just
They presented a
exists.
report that wasn't finished. We're talking about something that took place 3 days ago.
I understand that, sir.
The
It's an
report was
initial
done
assessment. So
2
what
days
is
ago.
your-
Wait a minute.
Yes.
They didn't see it. All they can do is take a guess. Now, if you take a look at the pictures, if you take a look
Yeah,
how it's all
of
blackened, you know the
people who
fire
have
and
been
brimstone is
reporting
all
on it,
underground
yeah,
because
none
it's
of them
granite
can
and
get
it's all
into
underground.
Iran.
You don't show
So I
it.
don't know why the fuck
But
they're
even
talking.
there, with all of that being said, the whole area for 75 yards around the hole where it hit is black
like the
with
only
fire.
people that can actually
The
give them information
group
is
that's
like
run by this gentleman, in fact, you may want to talk about it for a
sources.
second because we're going to issue a report.
Or if you look at, like,
and I think
their
it's not
main
even
so-
a very
like, main
exciting
news
report at
network
this point.
in
It's been
Iran.
obliterated, totally obliterated. And they did a report, but it was like, if you look at the dates,
you could
it's just a few
probably
days
try and
after it
contact
happened.
Understood, sir.
So they didn't see
Someone who
it. They
could-
said it may be very severe.
Understood. Do you have a message
there.
for the intelligence community, though, in terms of unvarnished information getting to you, that it's not?
I don't really have a message. I would say issue the report when you know what happened. I wouldn't say that it could be severe or maybe not. They use the word severe. It could be severe or maybe it's not.
And briefly-
So people like you picked up and said, oh, it's not severe.
We're just
No,
looking for the-
the report was not a complete report. Yeah, the message was probably wait till you know the answer before you.
And
Go
sir,
ahead.
did you not have a public component to your Zelensky meeting for a tactical reason with President Putin?
Let him answer this one.
Hello, Mr. Secretary.
Yeah. There's a reason the president calls out fake news for what it is. These pilots, these refuelers, these fighters, these air defenders, the skill and the courage it took to go into enemy territory
that's a
flying
lot of
36
fucking
hours
money
on
to
behalf of the
spend on
American
all
people
that
in the
shit.
world to take
To
out a
be real-
nuclear
to
program
just go
is
out
beyond what anyone in this
willy-nilly
audience
and
can fathom.
Just drop those
And then
fucking
the instinct,
30,000
the
kilograms,
instinct of
right?
CNN, the
Bombs,
instinct
yeah,
of the New
right,
York
fucking
Times
Jesus.
is to try to find a
That's
way
fucking money, man.
to spin
That's
it
a lot of money.
for their own political reasons to try to
Oh shit! No, I fucked up. uh. I have to go back. Fuck, was it on this one? No. On this one? No. Mine's bads, mine's bads.
Unvarnished information.
And then the instinct of CNN, the instinct of the New York Times, it took to go into enemy territory flying 36 hours on behalf of the American people in the world to take out a nuclear program is
Yeah,
beyond
like,
what
yeah, we
anyone in this
spent our-
audience can fathom.
Yeah, we spend our money on
And
that.
then the
I would hope
instinct,
you fucking did
the
your
instinct
job.
of CNN, the instinct of the New York
A lot of
Times
fucking
is to
money.
try to find a way to spin
Yeah, to
it
spend all that
for their own
fucking
political
money on
reasons to try to
fuel
hurt
to keep those
President
fucking
Trump
B-2
or our country.
bombers
They don't care what the
operation.
troops think.
Yeah, that's
They
it. That
don't care
shit's
what
a
the
bunch
world
of money.
thinks. They
And
want to
to drop
spin
a bunch
it
of
to try to
fucking
make him look bad
bombs
based
that
on a
fucking
leak.
did so
Of course,
much
we've all seen
damage.
plenty
That
of
cost-
leakers. And what
right,
do leakers do? They have agendas.
Each bomb
And what
costs
do
so
they do?
much
Do they share the
fucking
whole
money. Yeah.
information
More than my
or just the
fucking
part that they
paycheck,
want
man.
to introduce?
I don't even make
And when
money.
they introduce that
More than my life.
preliminary, a preliminary report that's deemed to be a low assessment. You know what a low assessment means? Low confidence in the data in that report. And why is there low confidence? Because all of the evidence of what was just bombed by 12 30,000-pound bombs is buried under a mountain, devastated and obliterated.
Yeah,
So
it's
if you want to
fucking
make an
gone,
assessment
dude.
of
That
what
thing-
happened at
that thing is
Fordo,
caved
you better
the
get a
fuck
big
in.
shovel
That shit
and go
is
really
rubble.
deep, because Iran's nuclear
You don't wanna
program
get hit by
is
that.
obliterated. And somebody somewhere is trying to leak something to say, oh, with low confidence, we think maybe it's moderate. Those that dropped the bombs precisely in the right place know exactly what happened when that exploded. And you know who else knows? Iran. That's why they came to the table right away, because their nuclear capabilities have been set back beyond what they thought were possible because of the courage of a commander-in-chief who led our troops, despite what the fake news wants to say.
But you're not disputing the report said what it said, even though it was initial.
The report said what it said, and it was fine. It was severe, they think, but they had no idea. They shouldn't have issued a report until they did, but we've gotten the information. I think Pete said it better than you can say it. And, you know, you should be proud, you, especially you, should be proud of those pilots, and you shouldn't be trying to demean them. Those pilots flew at great risk, a big chance that they'd never come back home and see their husbands or their wives. Let me just tell you, you and NBC,
I mean, there's
fake news,
obviously
which is
some
one of the
news
worst,
journalists who
and
actually
CNN,
go to
New
the
York
front
Times
lines
are all bad. They're sick.
put
There's something
themselves
wrong
at
with them. But you know
Some of
what?
these people
You
don't
should be
even fucking
praising
do
those
that
people instead of trying to find
All they
something.
do is
By
talk
getting
shit.
me, by trying to go and get me, you're hurting those people. They were devastated. You know, I got a call from Missouri, great state, that I won 3 times by a
I
lot.
got a call from
And I got a
Missouri.
call
That's
that
a
the
great
pilots
state.
and the people on the plane were devastated because they were trying to minimize the attack. And they all said it was hit. But we don't think it was really maybe hit that badly. And they were devastated. They put their lives on the line, and then they have, and I'm not referring to you, but real scum come out and write reports that are as negative as they could possibly be. It should be the
Real
opposite.
scum.
You should make them
Garbage of the
heroes and heroines. You should make them really people that they were so devastated when they heard this news. And you know what they said? One of them, I spoke to one of them, said, "Sir, we hit the site. It was perfect. It was dead on." Because they don't understand fake news, because they have a normal life, except they have to fly very big, very fast planes. But it's a shame. You should be making them heroes. All right, in the back. Go ahead, back, white, yeah. White jacket, yeah.
Them screaming so loud.
Go ahead, give my mic. Hello.
Deborah Haynes from Sky News. Mark Rutte, the NATO chief, who is your friend, he called you daddy earlier. Do you regard your NATO allies as kind of children?
No, he likes me. I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and I'll hit him hard, okay? No? He did it very affectionate. Daddy, you're my daddy.
Do you regard your NATO allies, though, as kind of like children, and they're obviously listening to you and they're spending more, and you're obviously appreciative of that, but do you hope that actually they're going to be able to defend themselves, defend Europe on their own?
I think they need help a little bit at the beginning, and I think they'll be able to, and I think they're going to remember this day. And this was a big day for NATO. You know, this was a very big day. They took it. One of the gentlemen said, "You know what? We've been trying to raise money raise the rate for 30 years," he said, 20 years, from almost the beginning. And he's been there for a long time. He said, "Until you came along, it never happened. What you did is amazing." It's been sort of an amazing day for a lot of reasons, but also for that. Yeah, go
Do
ahead.
you think they can do it without you, though, in the future? Can they do it without
Well, ask Mark.
States?
I mean, you have to ask Mark, okay? So we're heading back. We're heading back. I want to thank these 2 gentlemen behind me. They're incredible people. both of them. They've done a fantastic job, and Susie's in the front, and she's done great. And Monica, thank you very much. It was quite an exciting time. And we're going to be heading back. We'll be back soon, and we'll see you in Washington, D.C. Remember this, we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Please, Mr. President, please, let me ask a question. Allah Akbar. Sorry. There you have it. The White House press conference of the president and everything that had to do with NATO and the Iran-Israel stuff and the Russia-Ukraine stuff. Basically everything been going on. But yeah, thank you for watching. Give a like, subscribe if you want to see more White House stuff. They'll probably post more stuff in the coming days. Yeah, and if you like what we do here, please give a like and subscribe, comment, the usual. Much appreciated. Have a good one.